Well, I just wanted to jump on here and kind of just talk about just some helpful tips in the kitchen. So, I I've been cooking for I don't know. I probably first jumped on a stove with my grandma when I was about 9 or 10, and I've learned a lot since then. Organization, timing, just trying to control your heat and amongst other things. I mean, cooking it's a labor of love, but it also requires a lot of different focus in some different areas. And now that I have a baby, my views on cooking have drastically changed because I have to be organized. I have to be on point with things just because every day, as most people know, if you're tuning in and you have kids, every day is different. Every day is going to present some different challenges, and your day just might be thrown off. So it is no lie when people say you have to be flexible as a parent. So my cooking is going to change because my daughter is going to go into daycare pretty soon. So I'm going to really have to be um, very diligent about how I time things and how I structure meals because when she goes to daycare, that means I'm going to be back to work 4 days a week. Right now, I'm doing three 12-hour shifts. And so those 2 days that I'm home, I do have time to prep things. But that's just going to change, which is not a bad thing. I mean, I'm basically only going to have 1 day at home, but work life balance, trying to spend more time with my wife and all that, it's definitely something to consider. So, but for now, as I've mentioned a lot in these videos, I think about at least for me, trying to dummy it down. I'm really trying to think about what component of the meal is going to take the longest, what component of the meal is going to be the messiest, because I think just having a mess when you have kids, it's always there. It's always in your house. Like my kitchen was spotless a day ago, maybe 2 days ago. Like the blender's there, the bottle sanitizer's there, her my daughter's high chair table essentially that's there. So there's always stuff that's always flying around. I mean, my kitchen's still pretty clean, but it's just one of those things where if I can limit the damage on how much mess I'm making, that's only going to make my life a lot easier when it comes to um, prepping meals and things like that. And I'm fortunate in my kitchen, I have a decent amount of space, as you can see, but there's a lot of things that can get really cluttered really, really soon. So um, just think about it. Think about what is it that you can leave out on your counter that's not going to spoil, that's going to allow you to just prepare your food faster. What vegetables can you chop, or what chopping do you need to do that's going to take you the longest? And then if you're able to just stick the chopped product in the fridge until you're ready to pull it out, what is it that you can do? What's going to make the most mess? What is it that you can clean up while you're cooking? Like I know, for example, with vegetables and herbs, they usually, at the grocery store, you can pull out those clear plastic bags and you put your herbs in there before you go to checkout. Whenever I'm cooking, I keep those. I keep those bags near me. So if I'm peeling a shallot, or if I'm peeling a garlic clove, or if I want to throw away the stems of asparagus or whatever the case is, I can throw it in that bag. And then once I'm done chopping up whatever it is that I need to chop up, that's like a trash bag for me. And then I just throw it in my trash. So that limits how much I'm just doing damage control, or how much damage there is. So that's what I'm doing my best to control, should I say. Um, Cutting boards, I have a variety of different cutting boards, and I really try to make sure those are clean, because if I'm cooking a lot of different proteins, or if I'm just having one protein but there's an abundance of it, I want to be able to use my biggest ones just to limit any cross contamination, the meat touching my counters, stuff like that. I mean, I have epoxy counters, so I know that they clean very well, but still, I want to keep my workspace and my work damage as tidy as possible. And then I want to be able to have cutting boards for my vegetables and things like that. So I'm always trying to make sure those are clean because that's really important. I have a good amount of pans. You know, and I understand every situation is different. I like cooking, so pans and things like that. It's just an investment that I've made, but I'm going to use it, and I'd rather have more pans to clean up than not have enough to use when I'm cooking. So I try to make sure that ahead of time I'm thinking, okay, what is it that I'm going to need? What is it that I need to prepare in terms of chopping, marinades, and sauces and all that stuff? And then I try to think of when I'm going to have the meal the day of, what is it that I need to cook last? And how am I going to throw this plate together? So that's how, right now, that's how I'm forced to kind of organize my cooking. And that's mainly because I don't have any extra set of hands here at the house or nearby in, the Austin, Texas area where I live, in terms of babysitting and being able to pawn my daughter off to somebody else. I don't have that luxury. My wife and I, we don't have that luxury. So I have to just plan accordingly. So, but these recipes, they're designed to hopefully be quick. Like, for example, the rice that I just made right now, that all in all with prep and cooking time, about 30 minutes, give or take. But that's because I had everything laid out. I had everything laid out before my daughter went to go down for her nap. So when she went to bed, I ran downstairs and I started filming, or started cutting up things, then I started filming. But the prep time really wasn't that long. It was probably about 10 minutes. The rice took about 20-ish minutes. So in 30 minutes, I probably have maybe 6 to 8 servings of rice, and that'll last for a little bit. And I know that rice is versatile. I could do chicken with it. I'm going to do salmon with that. Even if we were to just eat it on our own, you could just do that too. So, yeah. So in the sauce that I'm making for that dish, I did it yesterday. All in all, that sauce maybe took, another 10-15 minutes. So I'm trying to take less pressure off my dads out there and off of myself, being able to do meals in segments, because it's one thing if I'm cooking on the weekend, I'm home, my wife and I are home, my wife can help me with the baby or vice versa, and I can just be in the kitchen doing my thing, and then I could probably bang out a whole meal, no problem. But during the week, it's a little bit more difficult, especially with work and all that stuff. So as we progress and as we do videos, I'm going to keep talking about that. I'm going to keep being transparent about what I'm doing in the kitchen. I'm not doing things in real time. Like, some things I am, of course, because I'm filming it, but I'm not going to be doing the entire meal in real time. Even professional kitchens and high-end restaurants, they're prepping food ahead of time. They might cut up a bunch of vegetables and a bunch of herbs, and they're getting truffles ready. They're getting potatoes and stuff peeled and all that. They're not doing that as you order. But they also have a lot of controlled appliances and controlled environments that allow them to keep their food fresh. So when it is time to cook, when that order comes in, then they already have everything ready to go. But once again, they're not peeling things while you're ordering. They're not butchering meat and all that stuff while you're ordering. At least I don't think so. There's a lot of things that professional kitchens do in preparation ahead of time. Like if you order a pastrami sandwich, let's just say, that meat takes a few days to brine, and then from there there's a curing process, and then there's a bunch of other things that happen. So when you're ordering a pastrami sandwich, they're not just making it like that, if you really think about it. Or a brisket, like out here in Texas, barbecue is king. And when you order a brisket, those people, they're there 1-2 in the morning smoking meats for maybe a 2 o'clock opening, and they're smoking meats for 9 to 14 hours depending on what's going on. So there's just a lot of preparation that takes place before the doors open. So I'm thinking, I know my kitchen's not a professional kitchen, but I'm trying to think along those lines of just how to set myself up for success. Cooking doesn't have to be complicated. Cooking doesn't have to be this elaborate process and sous vide machines and pressure cookers and all this stuff. You don't need all that. Some things are very, very helpful. Like there's certain things in my kitchen that I wish I had, but it's not necessary. There's a lot of simple things that you can make that are very, very delicious, very nutritious. They'll keep you full, and you'll be able to save time. And that's my whole thing out there, because I think a lot of people feel like they can't cook. A lot of people feel that their sense of time is off, or they feel like they don't know if they're tasting things right, or whatever the case is. I mean, like anything, I think we all get a little insecure and we all lack confidence in certain things, but my goal is that I'm able to build confidence and just give you a different perspective of what it's like to cook as a parent. And I know that's going to change, like I said, with my daughter's schedule and everything, and as she gets older, she's going to be eating more foods, and when she goes to school, prepping lunches, all that stuff, all that's going to be so different. But I'm trying to adapt on the fly. But as she is an infant right now, this is just what's working for me. So like I said, as she progresses and gets older, and if I keep doing this channel, I'll be able to just give more insight on how I'm doing things. But even then, I think the organization is just really, really key. Yeah, that's my biggest piece of advice, because when you have your ingredients and everything organized, and you're just from there, you're following your recipe, or even if you, like for example, like one of my recipes, if you've done it 10 times and you know exactly what you need to do, then hopefully from there it's just getting organized, and you'll be able to just knock that meal out without having to look at the recipe. But always think about your components, always think about what you're trying to do, what needs to be fresh, what can be reheated, what is it that you're serving, can your sauce be reheated, and all that stuff. I mean, everything, it's trial and error. Cooking should be fun. Even if you make mistakes, like chances are like your food's still going to be pretty good. So I just want to hop on here and kind of do maybe like a helpful advice kind of video. Questions, comments, concerns, just hit me up in the comments, or you can check out our dad podcast, Dad Life 4106 on Instagram, and the title of the podcast is Dad's Let's Talk About It on Spotify. And then so just let me know. I'm more than happy to help. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time.